Welcome to Spoken Truth Revival. Today we're going to get into a topic called Father's Wound. What they never told us about being a man, not even our own father. Being a man is something that is very hard, especially nowadays. And especially if you grew up in the dynamics, let's say like I did, where you were kind of not really told, but you saw from the examples that you had of you shouldn't cry, you shouldn't show emotions. You were basically, you had to do what you had to do day in and day out, dealing with burdens, dealing with loss, dealing with things that have haunted you, and still to this day, it bothers, it really does. But what if the truth is you were carrying wounds that you didn't know how to heal? Now that you're older, now that you're in the adulthood, now that you are a man, full-blown man, and you're working and you have a family, and even if you don't have a family, if you're by yourself, the weight of being a man nowadays is super, super, super hard. We don't really talk about our feelings. We don't really get into it. We don't really want to share about it because we feel that we're weak if we get into that type of topic with others. Sometimes it's even hard talking to our spouses, talking to our friends about it, or even sometimes talking to each other, talking to men, because it's kind of like, well, we have to be a certain way, so we know we can't be vulnerable, we can't be this, that. It just becomes hard. It's a day in and day out process that we go through. But that's not weakness. That is what we call pain. And pain doesn't mean that you're broken. It means you're fighting something without healing. You're fighting something internally without learning how to heal it, and going through so many years of it, you don't even know how to heal until one day you wake up and one day you finally realize that, man, what have I been going? And what have I been doing with my life up until now? And I think for some of us that are actually parents, or actually fathers, that's where it kind of hits us when we start having our own children. I know for me, when I started having my own children, not even when they were little, but when they started getting older, especially my older boys, I kind of started seeing some things that they started resembling of me, and I didn't really like it. But then it kind of like started to bring something, like you could say, like started making me think of what I was doing with them, how I raised them, and then more importantly, how I was raised, and how we start really dealing with our own feelings and start dealing with our own internal hurts, which is kind of hard. Thing is that the prevailing social, you could say, or society expectation for a man is to be strong, independent, just basically a robot. We deal with so much. We deal with debts. We deal with the problem solving. If something happens at the home, where most of the time we're the breadwinner. Most of the time, we live in a new day and age, so I can't really say that we're the sole breadwinners, but we deal with a lot of responsibility that we feel that's on top of our shoulders. That we have to be the superhero. We have to be the strong one of the entire household. And we are the foundation of that. So then we carry these wounds that we haven't healed yet, and we carry these wounds day in and day out. And whenever something traumatic happens within the family, within our lives, it's almost like we can't share those emotions, and we have to have this face. I'll give you a little story. When my son passed away, I remember the day that he passed away. I remember after the paramedics and everyone had left, and he was carried out to the medical examiners, the van and stuff like that. Now I remember coming in, and it's kind of like a switch went off, and I'm the one that started cleaning up everything. I'm the one that had to start cleaning up the sofa, start cleaning up the blood. I cleaned up everything around me. I went, go get dinner, go get this. The next day I started working out, and it was kind of like a process that I felt like I was in this robot stage. Everyone else was grieving around me, and everyone else was dealing with things, but I couldn't show that side of emotion because I had to be the man. I had this weight. We have this weight on us that we have to be the one that everyone looks at, that everyone's on top of. But at the same time, we're dealing and we're dying inside with a lot of things, you know, and that's something that we shouldn't be doing. I'm gonna cover 3 points here that are very important. The first point of this whole thing about not being or not learning, or when no one tells you about being a man, the mask of masculinity. I covered a little bit about that. So it's kind of acting like everything is okay, but dealing with deep mental anguish. But you can't show it because if you do, you feel like you're weak. You feel like you're soft. That's something that we kind of embedded it into ourselves, that if we show this type of feelings, if we show these type of actions, that we're weak. But inside, we're dealing with these things that we shouldn't be dealing with on our own or dealing with it all like that. We have to learn how to ask. We have to learn how to be vulnerable. We have to learn how to search for healing. The other thing is understanding that it is okay to feel and to express our feelings. It is okay for us to feel, understand the feelings that we have, because if we don't, if it's left untreated, it can cause more of psychological problems in our lives. If we continue in this thing of manhood and continue to grow older and have these unsettled feelings inside of us, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. But that's the weight of the man. That's the weight that we have of trying to hold our family together, trying to hold all the pieces all in the right places. And no one really knows what we're dealing with except for other men. And the thing is that with other men, we kind of don't really talk about it amongst ourselves because we still have that masculinity mask on and we have to be a certain way. And we shouldn't be like that. We should learn how to deal with the emotions, deal with the feelings, learn how to express ourselves. But we have a hard problem there. It is crucial to acknowledge and challenge these unspoken aspects of being a man to foster a healthier expectation, emotional well-being, and fulfilling relationships. It's very important. We have to learn how to foster these emotions. We have to learn how to better ourselves, because once we start bettering ourselves, then we can be able to be this man that not really what everyone else expects of us, but what God says is the true definition of a man. What God says is the true definition of strength. And in dealing with that weakness, then we also have to understand, what does the Bible say? That's point 2. What does God say about real strength? What does he say about real strength? The one thing we need to acknowledge, 2 Bible verses that I'm going to cover here. It says God is the source for our strength. It says in Psalms 28:7, the Lord is my strength and my shield. In him my heart trusts, and I am helped. My heart exalts with my song, and I give thanks to him. The Lord is my strength. God is our source of strength. We have to understand that we can't cover it all. We can't do it all by ourselves. We have to believe in this higher power that can come and help us, because he is our source. And God wants us to be a better protector, a better provider, you can say, not just materialistic, emotionally, especially when we have our family, we have children. Emotionally, we're supposed to be what God wants us to be, but also not relying on our own strength. And that's a problem that I have. I have a problem that I'm very independent. And when it comes to doing things around my home or doing things outside of home, I rarely ask for help. And I always find myself in some type of predicament. They always laugh at me every time we go to the store, especially if I'm looking for something for my wife and my children, because I have this thing. I go inside Home Depot, I go inside Walmart, I don't care what store it is. If I'm looking for something, and then I hear the word of wisdom coming from my wife or my daughter, it's funny, you know, and my son, my younger son as well, and it's always like, Dad, or babe, as she calls my wife, why don't we go ask somebody? And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna ask somebody nothing. I'm gonna find this myself. And I will be in that store for an hour trying to look for something wherever the thing is, because I have that whole masculinity thing down. I got this. I'm a man. I know how to do this stuff, and so I have to finally break down and be like, you know what? I can't find this. So I know I'm not the only one that deals with that. I know I'm not. But God is our source of strength. God is the one that provides us and gives us that ability to do what we need to do on a daily basis. We go to the next verse, which is Philippians 4:13, one of my favorite verses, right? I can do all things through him. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. That's a reminder for us. We can do all things through him who strengthens us. God gives us that strength. So we can do whatever task that we have in front of us, and we can do it all with him. We can face any problem, any situation, as long as we understand that. You know, so we have those points, and then one thing that we understand after we get to here, right? Point 3 is healing starts with honesty. Healing starts with honesty. A lot of us men have broken hearts. We have deep wounds that just have not healed, but at the same time we haven't been honest about those feelings that we have been going on inside of our hearts, the feelings that have been going on inside of our minds, hearts, everything else, and carrying things from childhood, carrying things from whatever experience that we had into whatever phase that you're at right now as a man, and we carry it. But the healing starts when we start being honest with those feelings. And what does the healing look like? What do we start with? Well, we start with number 1, acknowledging the pain. Stop denying what hurt you. God already sees it. Acknowledging the pain. I made a video about that. Feeling it. We acknowledge the pain. God already sees this. We have to say, you know what? I know it's here. I know what I'm dealing with, and I know that I need to deal with this in a certain way so I can be able to start this process of healing. But we have to acknowledge the pain, and we have to be honest with that. Number 2 problem that I have is stop isolating. You don't have to suffer anymore or suffer alone. Talk to someone. God never meant for us to fight alone. Men, we have to get together. We have to stop isolating ourselves. Men's group, whether it's out of a church, whatever, I'm a prior veteran, so in the VA, wherever the case is, but we have to stop isolating ourselves. I make videos like this to encourage men to say, you know what, let's get together. Let's on the comments, comment whatever your story is. Reach out. Let's start helping to heal each other, so that way we can start on this healing journey together, and we can actually have, you know what I'm saying, like just a get together, just a point where we say, you know what, we're a group of men that are messed up, we're a group of men that have wounds, we're a group of men that need help. So when we start doing that and we start actually getting out, because when you come together and you start talking, and when you start talking, it's like opening a faucet. And once you open up the faucet, the feelings, the emotions start pouring out. But the only way for us to really, really, truly do that is to stop isolating ourselves and to getting together with one another. The other point is the higher power. Invite God in. He's not scared of your trauma, your anger, your doubt. Invite God into your heart. Invite God. If you believe in God, and I'm not here to preach to you guys, so whether you believe in God, or if you don't believe in God, if you believe in Allah, whatever it is that you believe in, your higher power, invite whatever the case is. So that way, you're not alone in the situation. You're not alone in that problem. See, stop isolating and inviting God. Because healing happens when we're among each other. I have it somewhere, I can't really find it right now, but one of the therapy sessions I went to talks about that healing actually, it's a trauma center, that healing actually is beneficial and better, and it really does work when you're in the midst, when you're in a group of people, you're actually, talking about it, you're actually, saying, going through these processes. Look at AA meetings and NA meetings and stuff like that, Alcoholics Anonymous and things of that nature, trauma meetings. Yeah, it's group sessions. And it's group sessions for a reason. It's to get it out is to be able to express that and to be able to funnel those feelings in a positive way, right? Number 4 is forgive when it hurts. Not because they deserve it, but because you do. Forgive. Forgive, you have to learn this. But forgive will be forgiving, let's say, your father. Or forgiving whatever you think, has made you what you are today. You forgive. And you're forgiving for yourself. And I have to say that you're forgiving for yourself. You're not forgiving the other person for whatever the case. I mean, you're forgiving. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say. You're forgiving for yourself because it makes you feel better. I had to do that with some of my family issues that I was going on with my mother and things like that. And I had to learn how to forgive, because forgiveness is like gold, man. And once you learn how to be able to let go, because a lot of us men, we hold on to grudges and we'll carry it through our life. And most of what's going on with us now internally is something that happened years ago that we're carrying along on this ride with us. So then we take out the frustration, since we can't deal with what happened to us back then. Then we deal with those emotions with the people that are around us, with our children, with our spouse, with our co-workers, and things like that. And we shouldn't be like that. Learning to forgive is a great process, but learning how to forgive even when it still hurts, that's a challenge. And I'm going to sit here and tell you guys, that is a challenge. But once you do it, the healing journey starts to get a little bit more better, right? And our last point here is to replace the lie with the truth. What do we mean by that? Replace the lie with the truth. You are not less of a man. You are what God created you to be. You have a purpose. You have a destiny. You are just dealing with something emotionally and internally right now that once you begin to be honest with those feelings, the healing starts. And we have our last verse of the day, which is Isaiah 40 verse 31. And it says, "But they who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles, and they shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not be faint." Those who wait on the Lord, those who wait on God, God will renew your strength. God says He's near to the brokenhearted. So you're broken, and I get it. I've been there. I'm still there a little bit. The healing journey is not a 1, 2, 3. It's a process. But men, we have to start getting this together, and we have to start, really look at it in a deeper picture. Because if we continue with our wounds, if we continue with the pain that's inside of us, how are we truly going to be any better for, let's say, our wives, our children? Our wives and our children, deep down inside, even though they won't say it to you, they want us to heal. They want us to get better. They want us to really acknowledge the pain that's inside of us. And not even just that, they want to be there and help us along this way. But we have that mask. Remember the mask of masculinity that's over our faces, that it's like almost too proud. And then you kind of carry that around. That's something that my family has told me before, that it's like I carry this weight on my face, and I carry this weight on my shoulders. And you can tell from far away that I got something going on, or there's something on me. And then the first time they ask me a question, "Hey, are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm fine. I'm fine." I'm quick to shut up. "I'm fine." But I'm not. I am not. But family, men, let's get together. I know this video has touched you. And if you can, send it out to other people, so that way we can talk and we can get together like that. And that way we can understand more of the issues, and start dealing with things in a group setting, in a group setting, to get out there to encourage everyone else. All right? God bless you guys. I love every single one of y'all. Y'all be safe. Y'all stay in touch. Stay with God's word. Be in strength, grace, and peace, guys. Spoken Truth Revival.